All right, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and it is officially official. I mean, I talked about it in a video a couple of days ago. Even John Com said it. When it comes to Chase Roullier and Andrew Norwell, it's a matter more of when, not if. And I feel like Andrew Norwell, if anybody, would get cut first. But again, we don't really have a true starting left guard, whereas we have plenty of options at center. Even though Chase Roullier is clearly better than Andrew Norwell at his job, it's just with the way that we have needs and everything, the way the roster's set up, it makes sense for Chase Roullier to go. It's interesting how fast he went, how soon he went. We're going to talk about that. And of course, we got to talk about how much money we're exactly saving, and then where are we potentially putting this money. I mean, you don't cut somebody to save that much money to not do something with it. I mean, maybe you're just doing it because you're just doing him a favor so he can go ahead and latch on to another team quick enough to where he can go ahead and get comfortable with their scheme before they get to the regular season. So maybe they're just being a great friend to Chase Roullier, but I think they're probably doing it to free up cap space to do a couple of things. Pay Cameron Curl, maybe, potentially, pay the rookie class. But of course, I want to dive into Chase Roullier and his history with the team, and is he actually really that injury prone? All of that type of stuff. But before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, make sure you pull up for the draft review live stream. I think I'll plan it for Sunday, where I open up the phone lines. Y'all call in, you voice your opinions on everything going down with the draft, give your review, give your grades, everything. I'm at the whole people. It's like a strict 3-minute timer for every caller. So make sure you pull up with your ideas and points already ready, all that type of stuff, and stay in tune for all of the film sessions I'm coming out with. Any specific film sessions like the one I came out with last night, that'll probably go to the general public, but channel members are going to get the exclusive comprehensive film sessions where I talk about the weaknesses, strengths, and fits for every draft pick and even some of the drafted free agents. Channel members will get like a 30 minutes or an hour version. Everybody else is gonna get like 5 to 8 minutes. So make sure you go become a channel member. Those are on the way. And without further ado, let's get it.
You tell your family you can be a commander.
All right, so you heard it first from Nikki Javala of the Washington Post. The Commanders are releasing center Chase Roullier per source. And I mean, again, this seemed pretty likely. Like, it just seemed inevitable. Again, John Com days ago said that it's more of a matter of when, not if. Again, I wasn't surprised with Andrew Norwell, even though like Chase Roullier is the better player. Andrew Norwell right now sits at a bigger need. We have a bigger need at left guard than we do center. Like, this left guard right now, Ron Rivera keeps saying, is between Sadiq Charles and Chris Paul, a 7th round pick who's only played 1 game in his NFL career. Love Chris Paul. Loved what I saw from him in that game. And maybe he just developed well enough to where we can actually believe he can do that consistently. But I still got to see it. So when we get to training camp and things like that, I'll have more confidence in him. But right now, left guard is arguably the biggest hole on our entire roster. You drafted Ricky Stromberg in the 3rd round. Basically a pure center. I mean, maybe he could play a little bit of guard. You could try him there, but I don't think he would be more developed at guard than a Chris Paul would be at this point anyway. And then Braden Daniels, his short arms, they're trying to project them to basically be a tackle. And I can see the ceiling. I see the intrigue there, but I don't think it will be any time this year that he would ever play tackle. So maybe he could compete at guard, but they really want to put him at tackle. And I don't think they're going to do the back and forth like they did with Cosme, to where Cosme's development has, it's come along so late, and I believe in him being a Pro Bowl, All-Pro guard. But I mean, nobody has true faith in it. I wouldn't put my life savings on it, just because the back and forth that he's done between tackle and guard, all within 1 season last year, just didn't allow him to develop into a true guard. And then the season before that, he was our starting right tackle. So I think Braden Daniels, they're going to try him at tackle. They're going to keep trying him at tackle until they just give up on the whole idea. But the big back and forth on between tackle and guard this season, I doubt it. So that's basically just assume he's a pure tackle if all goes well. So right now we have no guard. So Andrew Norwell technically does fill a bigger need that we have. But between stacking Andrew Norwell and Chase Roullier is a top 5 center in the NFL, in my opinion. Andrew Norwell, top 40 guard, which is more than some teams can say. I don't think he's absolutely horrible. But again, the reason he's still currently here. I think they're just saying, just in case Chris Paul just for some reason falls off a cliff and doesn't look as good or if anything better than he looked the last time we saw him against the Cowboys. Zeke Charles can't stay healthy. Maybe we want to keep Andrew Norwell on the team for a little bit. Plus, Andrew Norwell isn't taking up enough cap space to where you feel like you gotta cut him. Because if you cut him right now, you save $2.8 million. That's not enough money to where you just cut him now and then just assume that Chris Paul is ready. So we'll see how that goes. But again, matter of when, not if. And don't be surprised if Chase Roullier is gone the soonest. It's not because Chase Roullier is worse than Andrew Norwell. It's just because left guard is a bigger need than center, which takes me to the point that why is center less of a need than left guard? Well, we brought over Nick Gates in free agency, and he looked pretty good for the Giants last year. You could argue he was one of the very few bright spots on arguably the worst O-line in football last year. And he's coming off a catastrophic injury, but Chase Roullier and Tyler Larson, if anything, the past couple of years have been the most injury prone. Like, it just seems like it's always something. Whereas Nick Gates has been pretty much healthy ever since he's returned from his catastrophic injury. And so we could kind of assume that he should be straight. It was kind of like a freak accident. We'll see if he's injury prone or not, but I think he's straight. Now, the way that we paid Nick Gates, I didn't think he was necessarily a starter. I thought he was like a Wes Schweitzer type of person, literally like the exact same contract structure. Only difference between him and Wes Schweitzer is that Wes Schweitzer is more of a guard than a center. But, I mean, he's had to start at center for us sometimes because of all of the injuries that we've had. And then Nick Gates is more of a center than a guard. So it makes sense. I can see why if you think Ricky Stromberg is ready to play now, I'm assuming he's shown you at least a little something. Maybe you rewatch the tape. Maybe through these little bit of off-season practices that we've had with absolutely no pads, no nothing. I'm pretty sure there's been like zero contact as well. Just by the way that the NFLPA rules and all of that goes. Maybe he showed you something to where you're like, yeah, we could just go ahead and move on. I don't know. Ricky Stromberg, Nick Gates, somebody must have did something. And then Tyler Larson's a decent backup, but he's also injury prone. And so it was really interesting even going into the draft. Like, we have two guards, if you're not counting Andrew Norwell. We had two left guards, and neither of them are trustworthy options. I'm not going to say good or great. I'm going to say trustworthy. None of them are trustworthy because, again, I believe in Chris Paul, but I got to see it for more than just one game as a 7th round pick, especially. But yeah, we went into the draft with more of a needed guard than center. We already had several centers: Tyler Larson, Nick Gates, and Chase Roullier. And when in doubt, just let Chase Roullier play this season. If he gets hurt again, then call it quits. But then we drafted a center, basically a pure center in the 3rd round. Like, so apparently Chase Roullier, the writing was on the wall immediately because they didn't even think about guard. I mean, Braden Daniels, again, more of a tackle. So it's just a really interesting situation how we entered the draft with a bigger need for guard than center. And then we drafted another center. So it's like we have even less of a need for center now, technically, if everything pans out. That's just assuming these guys work out. It's assuming Tyler Larson can stay healthy as a backup. It's assuming Nick Gates can stay healthy as a starter. It's assuming that Ricky Stromberg is ready to develop probably sooner than some people think. But it does suck, too, because Roullier is really good when healthy. Again, to me, he's a top 5 center, and I'm assuming another team is going to pick him up immediately. We put him up as a post June 1st cut, so I believe that he's not allowed to necessarily go to a team until then. We'll see, but at the very least, his name is out there. His agent knows, like, let me go ahead and start talking to teams. Teams know that they're interested in things like that. They start talking to him. He's going to get picked up immediately. As soon as he can, he's gone, because again, he's a top 5 center. If you can get that guy for cheap, potentially, I mean, that's a huge steal. Some other team in the NFL is about to be very happy. I believe that. If he can stay healthy, again, he's a top 5 center. The problem is if he can stay healthy. But it's just a weird situation because you could easily say that him and Alfred Morris are the best 6th round picks we've had in a long time, man. Chase Roullier, you got to remember, as a 6th round pick. That man is a top 5 center as a 6th round pick. Come on now. That's incredible value. Nobody expected him to be this great. I'm not even sure if he did. And you got to also remember, from 2018 to 2020, he played in 46 out of 48 possible regular season games. This injury prone thing is literally just the past 2 years. It has not been his entire career. If anything, throughout the time span of his entire career, he's been a healthier player than he is longer than an injury prone player. This injury prone thing is kind of recent, but when you do it back-to-back seasons, you're like, okay, maybe this may be something. And also maybe he's not the same guy when he comes back. Maybe after the injuries, he's not 100% Chase Roullier, the Chase Roullier that we once knew. So maybe all of those factors played into this. But again, top 5 center when healthy. But when is he healthy? I kept joking, man, if you want to play half a season, give us half that money back and we'll keep you. That would have been my thing. Try to restructure him. Because Nick Gates is cool at center. I like him, good, but he's not Chase Roullier when healthy. When everybody went healthy, Chase Roullier was the best center we had on roster. I feel like it's not even debatable. And then we got to see about Ricky Stromberg's development. And Ricky Stromberg is really interesting because, I mean, when you allow 0 sacks in the NFC East, I know it felt like a reach in the 3rd round, but when you, my fault, the NFC East, it kind of almost is like that, my fault. When you allow 0 sacks in the SEC, that's amazing. And then when you win the award in the SEC for the best offensive lineman, not guard, not tackle, not center, the best offensive lineman, period, in the SEC, that says a lot, man. That says a lot. Again, to do it in the SEC against dominant SEC players, you can go back to 2021 and look at how he handled even like Jalen Carter and my Georgia defensive line. Like, he did as well as you could do. Jalen Carter and those guys are just fairly unblockable, and my boy Ricky Stromberg did literally as well as you could do against those guys. Now it's back in 2021. He got even better in 2022. So I'm expecting big things out of him, but we just haven't seen it in an NFL game yet. That's the weird thing about like doing draft reviews and grades and stuff like that. We haven't seen them play a lick yet at the NFL level. But projecting Ricky Stromberg, I think he'll be a fantastic center. Is he ready to start week 1? Maybe. Don't rule it out. Maybe he shows something in training camp. Nick Gates is your backup and Tyler Larson is the backup to him. That's just a weird situation, though. I mean, Nick Gates, I guess you could say, is like a positional flex guard, but Ricky Stromberg and Tyler Larson both seem like direct centers, and we need more guys that can play both. Maybe I'm tripping on Tyler Larson, but I see him as more of a center than a guard. I don't even feel like it's close between the two. But yeah, man, I mean, Ricky Stromberg, maybe they saw something. Maybe they saw something from Nick Gates. Maybe Tyler Larson is healthier than we think. I don't know. They had to have seen something to be like, let's go ahead and do this. Because the timing is weird. You would think that if it was because we simply just drafted Ricky Stromberg and that's it, just on the surface, we would have released them sooner than this. We would have released them probably immediately after the draft or found a way to trade them during the draft. Maybe they took calls and nobody wanted them. I don't know. But the fact that it took like a week, a little bit over like a week before we were like, all right, I guess we can move on. Maybe whatever these little practices that we're having with no pads, no contact, no nothing. Maybe Ricky Stromberg's footwork or something, or hand placement, hand technique looks better than they expected. And maybe that was one of the worries with him and he's already fixed that or something. I don't know. But they must feel really good about the center position to go ahead and make this move now, because you could have waited. I mean, again, he's a post-June 1st cut. You could have waited till June 1st to announce this, to let everybody know we're cutting them. Hey, look, we're cutting the top 5 center. You can get them for cheap. So there must be a real reason for this. I'm just going to assume, give them benefit of the doubt and just assume that that they've seen something. Even though we barely practiced, they've seen something. They know something, whatever. But I really feel sorry for Chase Roullier, man. Such a good guy, such a great player. Remember, he signed a 4-year, $40.5 million deal in 2021. And literally since he put that pen to paper, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. It's literally like the contract cursed him. Again, with the post-June 1st cut, it's going to save us actually $8.37 million in cap space. So I'm really excited about that. And again, top 5 center. He was ranked 4th by Pro Football Focus in 2020. That was his last fully healthy season. Last time he was fully healthy, he was easily, I feel like, a top 5 center. Again, Pro Football Focus saw him as the 4th. And post-June 1st cut is really interesting. I'm just really intrigued with how that's going to work. And then why are we doing it? Now, if we wanted to cut him before June 1st, like if we wanted to do something right now, like if we wanted to go and pay Cameron Curl long term, which we're going to talk about soon or something like that. The problem with doing pre-June 1st cut is that out of the $12.4 million cap hit that he is, we would still have $8.1 million in dead cap, which means we would only save a little over $4 million worth of cap space. That's why we're making him a post-June 1st cut. It goes from $4 million to 8.37. So that's why we're doing it like that, just in case if you were curious. But it's just really interesting because he was the 4th highest paid player on this team. If we're talking about cap hit, he was the 4th highest. Kendall Fuller right under him. Charles Leno right above him. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there that would prefer to cut Charles Leno than Chase Roullier, especially in his fan base. So that's really, really funny to me. But man, I mean, this is really interesting. First of all, we're not surprised. We are not surprised. Leaving the draft, we knew with the way that they drafted and just the way that Rivera has even talked about the left guard position. We knew Andrew Norwell and Chase Roullier, the writing was on the wall. Even Kendall Fuller leaving the draft. We'll keep an eye on you. Quan Martin potentially starting slot corner. You may inform starting outside. You're not benching or making Benjamin St. Juste a rotational player. He's starting as well. We're looking at you, Kendall Fuller. We're looking at you because Derek Forrest, Cameron Curl, how do you take them off the field? We're looking at you. We are looking at you like, okay. And even like Dax Milne as a returner, we brought in the receiver from Michigan. I mean, from UCLA. I almost said Michigan. The receiver from UCLA. We're like Dax Milne. I don't know. You're making the team because you're our punt returner. This guy could potentially be better than you. I've been screaming for a more explosive punt returner the entire draft process. I was even willing to take one in the draft if I had to. So Dax Milne, we're watching you as well. Percy Butler, I thought Percy Butler would be the guy that would step up and basically do what they're bringing in Quan Martin to do. Free safety, slot corner, basically step up as a better version of Bobby McCain as his replacement. They went and got Quan Martin in the second round. I'm looking at Percy Butler like, I mean, it's not like you're going to get cut, but, you know, yeah, your rotation, your snap count definitely diminished a little bit more than I expected it before the draft. I thought Percy Butler was going to be the guy that stepped up, but I'm really happy to have Quan Martin because he's way safer. We know for a fact what he's going to bring to the table, so I'm really excited about him. So Kendall Fuller, Percy Butler, Dax Milne, Chase Roullier, and Andrew Norwell, I was looking at all of them after the draft like, so I'm not surprised, especially with Chase Roullier, and Andrew Norwell's probably next, and then we'll see from there. Now, could this just be us trying to free up cap space to pay our rookie class? Because as of right now, we literally only have $2.4 million worth of cap space. Like, literally, like right now. We cannot pay our draft picks. Emmanuel Forbes, Quan Martin, Ricky Strongberg, we can't pay all of those guys yet. So maybe that's just for that and that alone. Maybe they're looking at some free agent linebackers that are available. Again, you could trade for a Patrick Queen. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option. Same thing with Isaiah Simmons. The Buccaneers have been trying to trade Devin White for a while. You have Miles Jack, Quan Alexander, a few linebackers out there that would easily be upgrades for us. The problem is value. How much are we willing to pay those guys? How much would they cost? Because not even just contract wise, but draft pick wise and compensation, if we're talking about trading for guys like Patrick Queen and those other guys I listed. Because I mean, those guys are better than anybody we have in the linebacker group, but how much better is worth whatever we would end up paying them or giving up their team and picks just to get those guys. So I mean, when you have linebackers out there, you potentially maybe have some tight ends, maybe another offensive lineman, and you never know, man. I mean, we just announced that we're cutting Chase Roullier post June 1st. That could happen with any team at needs that we have, left guard, center, whatever. So be on the lookout for us to potentially try to steal somebody from another team, just like somebody's about to do with Chase Roullier from us for whatever reason, whether it's injury concerns or no fit. They drafted a better player. Like that's how Charles Leno got cut from the Bears. Charles Leno is a serviceable, decent, almost good left tackle. He's not the best, but he's good enough. And the Bears cut him because they happened to land a left tackle later in the draft than they expected, a starting left tackle. They didn't expect him to be there. They were like, well, he's clearly best player available. We can move on from Charles Leno if we do this. Let's take this guy, cut Charles Leno. And then we lucked up. I feel like we lucked up and got Charles Leno. I'm not as big of a Charles Leno hater as most of the fan base is. I feel like he's decent. I mean, like, just looking at real offensive lines play again, it's kind of unfair to him. Because he can win 35 out of 39 snaps in a game. But the 4 snaps that he loses, everybody just looks at those only and just assume he's trash and things like that. That's the life of an offensive lineman. You know that by the time you hit to the NFL. So I'm pretty sure he doesn't care. But just to let y'all know, like, this man can win every snap but 2. But the 2 snaps he allows a pressure and then the other one he allows a sack. Everybody's screaming he's trash and he's sorry and stuff like that. And that's not necessarily the case. He'll lose more snaps than that in the game. I'm just saying, for example, Charles Leno, man, I do feel like he does get a bad rap. But again, we were able to get him after the draft because the Bears cut him due to, really random circumstances of a tackle landing in their lap that they didn't expect. Maybe another team did that with guard or something or linebacker, and we can end up getting one of these good linebackers out here. So maybe we cut Chase Roullier to save $8 million as a post June 1st cut for that. Or again, it could just be to pay the rookies. Also, are we potentially looking into signing Cameron Curl long term? Is that what we're trying to do there? Are we trying to give him an extension? I remember it was reported through John Kahn before the draft, like a month before the draft or something like that, that we were interested in re-signing Cameron Curl long term, extending him and giving him a long term, big time contract. But apparently we got to wait till Josh Harris and those guys officially buy the team. They're waiting until new ownership to do stuff like that. They didn't wait to do that with Deron Payne. So that, I mean, that's noteworthy. If they really, really wanted to pay Cameron Curl, they probably would just go ahead and do it and make moves to do it. But they said that they're waiting until Josh Harris to officially do that. But it was reported that that was one of our top off-season priorities. So don't be surprised if Cameron Curl gets his money post-June 1st. I'm not saying it will happen, but it's quite likely to happen because, again, John Kahn, when he reports something, he knows something. He's not just guessing. And apparently that's one of our top off-season priorities. Now, how much Cameron Curl will end up getting, I don't know. I don't know if he's really shooting for that top safety money like his dad said, or if he's going to get like a humble amount. I don't know, but either way, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up extending Cameron Curl before the end of this offseason, and that would be beautiful to not have to worry about that. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. As always, man, I appreciate all the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Let me know how you feel about this Chase Roullier situation. Do you feel like it was smart to cut him at all? Do you feel like it was better to cut him post-June 1st or pre-June 1st? Do you want to rush it and get that cap space now, or do you want to wait till June 1st to get more of it? Let me know everything in the comment section. How you feel about the need of left guard being more important than the need at center right now? But either way, man, I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.